Well, good morning. You enjoying your Sunday? Got some activities going on today? Just kidding. Today we're pulling the engine. Gonna get this inline 6 out of here and hopefully get something stuck back in between the frame rails. Getting everything connected, getting everything disconnected so we can pull this thing out. We'll see what kind of damage we got going on in here before we snip the new one back in. What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
Cleaning the truck?
Where's the motor?
I'm the motor.
No, you're not the motor. That's the motor. Well, hello. Boy's at school, and I'm going to go ahead and take care of a couple things that he really can't do on his own. He was scrubbing the living daylights out of this thing, trying to clean it up, and he scrubbed some holes in the firewall. We got some rust poking through up here and a little bit down there, and it's not too bad, not too big a deal for a teenager's first truck. The mad samples yesterday on a parts run and got me a fender, which is going to be perfect to donate some sheet metal to this. So we'll keep using parts for parts. I'm going to get in there and see how bad this rust is, cut some pieces out, and then hammer form some stuff and kind of booger weld it back in there. I tried feeding some smaller wire into my Arc Captain 205 MIG Pro. The drive roll did not want to feed that smaller wire, so I must be an idiot, or I got something going on here that I'm not seeing. But I'm not messing with it for longer. So we're gonna feed this thing the hotness, the 35 wire, and it's just gonna be way too hot and way too much, and I'll have to grind it back down. So that's what we got going. Bring you in. Well, I decided to take this piece off the cowl just to see what we got going on here, and this is starting to lead me towards why we got things going on that we got going on. This is common for these. Trash builds up in here and doesn't have anywhere to go, and then when it gets wet, it just sits there and eats on that and rusts it all the way. So I'm gonna keep moving and get this taken out, get a little vacuum in there and vacuum everything out and see how bad this is. So this has exactly what I thought was happening in here. You got two pieces of metal when they assemble these. One's for the cowl up on the inside, kind of runs down like this, and then this firewall piece there. They get pressed together, tack welded or whatever they do to attach those, and then some guy squirts some seam sealer in here. And just like all seam sealer eventually wears out, especially when you have this happening. So all the junk and leaves and crap get stuck in here, and water flows down. This is your point that it travels on. It starts to get wet, and the junk sits there and it starts to eat away at the seam sealer, and then next thing you know, the seam sealer doesn't seal the seam, and this goes down inside the cab. So traveling along behind that jute panel stuff that they got on the inside is water, and then the next layer that it hits, if we go on the inside, traveling down this jute panel here, it meets this lip right on the inside of the cab here, and then it just fills up with the jute, is nice and moist and holds the water and keeps this all moist in here. So all this is gonna be nice and, oh, you can hear that. I'm poking through the, that's not good. So I may address this now. I may address this later. It's kind of it goes beyond the scope of what I thought this was. A little worse than I was thinking. I still may just zip some panel on there, or zip some pieces on there and call it a day. I can almost guarantee that since it's doing that up here, that these panels down below, then the rockers are going to be pretty bad. But looks like somebody has enough Bondo in there that I'm not going to worry about that today. And that can be projects for when this kid wants to go further and learn how to do stuff. We can really tear into the truck, but I'm not doing that. Making a runner, making a driver. Hell, I might even leave some of that how it is. Throw a license plate over it. We'll see. Gonna get super technical. Got my patch piece. Junk out of here. Got the fender. Has a little bit of curve to it, so I'm gonna try to use that. Put this up on there and soapstoned it. Now I'm gonna cut it out. Use my little finger sander and sand it down close and tack it in. All right. It's not normally how I roll, but I made these patch panels. My phone's screaming at me that I gotta go get the boy, so I guess he's got some decisions to make. We'll see what he decides to do. If he wants to like vice grip garage this thing, license plates, and hack it together until winter time, or what he wants to do. I hate giving out all my secrets, but I do have another build in the works, and it does involve a square body cab, which I really don't need a whole lot of the cab. For what I'm gonna do, most of the firewall and the floorboard is gonna be cut out anyways, so this cab would actually be perfect for that. So maybe we just scab this thing together just to get us through the winter, or I guess the summer, And once we get on the other side of show season and we can start doing modifications and things, this will probably end up being the cab that I use for my next crazy. And we'll find him a cab that is a little bit better shape. Got a buddy, Jason, Ogre Speed Shop, who's in Oklahoma, and oh my God, the level of cabs and stuff they have there is way better than it is here. A whole lot less rust. So maybe I'll have Jason look for some stuff. Jason? Anyways, I'm gonna go get the boy and we'll get back at it. Well, hello there. Another day of the boy at school. Just playing around getting this motor buttoned up and, you know, covers and gaskets and things put on. And a buddy of mine, Bry, at CCC Motorsports in San Diego, California, we were talking last night, and he had a truck or a car, I think it was a truck, came into his shop and had a problem. It didn't have the oil pump drive shaft in it. So he said, hey, make sure you're checking yours. And I told him, yeah, I just put mine in from the top, which is not how that's supposed to go. I had flipped the motor over and it just ding, 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 fell on the ground, which I wasn't thinking. I just jamming, trying to put stuff together, wasn't thinking, just thought, oh, I'll put that back in there, and set the distributor down on, and it bloop, popped right in. I just figured I got the, you know, the one in a million shot of lining it up perfect. Lined up the oil pump drive, and yeah, I'm getting good at this. And then, you know, 2 and 2 got put together, and there's supposed to be a little collar on there, and this goes in from the bottom. So I don't have my, I guess they're plastic collar on this one. It means it's probably still attached to the pump. Could I put this in? Maybe. I don't know, but why not just get a metal one? I'm already in here. The Mazel game, you know, Mazel do it while we're in here. So pan's got to come back off. Oil pump's going to come off. I got a new Millen pump coming with a screen. I get to play with that and get that all assembled and tack weld the pickup tube. And I got an ARP little stud job that's metal. It was a couple bucks more than the regular ones that may or may not have a roll pin fall out of them. This one doesn't even have a roll pin option, but got the ARP one. You know, I don't know what these teenage boys are going to do these days, but he's got that in there. So let's get this apart and figure out what broke. I ain't recording yet. There she is, little Miss America. Hanging on there. And it's cracked. You know, it's just what to do. So, I guess I'm glad I saw that. Thanks, Bri, for pointing that out. And get some good parts on here for the boy. Once again, we're waiting on shipping. Story of my morning, trying to get the valve lash set on the 1970, and that meant I need to put the balancer on, but I had the stock balancer. This little timing tab is, you know, spot welded on there, and I'm running the serpentine accessory drive from Mr. Donor Motor over there. So I realized that when I painted the balancer to go on there, larger balancer, everything bolts to that, when I painted all that to get that to go on there, it would not go on with the timing pointer for the smaller balancer, obviously. So I had a couple choices to make. I could either take the timing cover off of here, clean that gunk off of it, paint it, or put a new seal in it, all those things, and then reseal everything here. Or I can do the lazy thing like I did and drill this 3 spot welds on this timing pointer, pop that off, spray a little paint on there, grab the timing pointer that bolts to the cover off of this one and bolt it on there, and then press this balancer on. I also haven't done small block Chevy things since, you know, Jesus was in Pampers, so I don't have a lot of the tools. So I went to another one of my dirty little secrets. I've got ammo cans tucked everywhere, full of nuts and bolts from everything I take apart over the years. I keep it. The bolt for the balancer is a 7/16 by 20, so I had to find a 7/16 by 20 bolt that's a little bit longer than what would go on there, so that I could press the balancer on. Dug through 4 buckets, obviously, and I finally found one that was like 1 inch long and a couple washers, and I was able to press that little guy on there. So 2 hours later, I'm now ready to start the task that I wanted to start a few minutes ago. So now I'm going to set the valve lash on this thing so I can put the valve covers on, get the intake manifold on it, and move forward. Decided to put these headers on just to see what would happen, and they're nowhere near lining up. It's hitting these perches here. So I'm probably gonna have to get pretty creative here. I'm probably gonna gotta cut quite a bit out there, and when it drops down, it's gonna be right next to where this bolt's gonna go. So that might be fun. Well, let's get the cutting and see what happens. So I ground a little bit away of this mount, and it's still a little close there, but it should work. Then I put the nut on the collector, and I tried to put the motor mount bolt through. And that's not seated, so that's seated. Well, good morning. It's Saturday. It's gonna be a beautiful day out. I think it's like 75, 80 degrees. We're gonna get this engine in, and hopefully by the end of today, it'll be in the truck. First things first, I did this off camera before I started filming, but I froze the pickup tube to put that into the oil pump. That went okay-ish, but now that it's pressed in there, it still does like that. So we're gonna measure on the pan, get our clearance set, tack weld this, and hopefully button this thing up and get it in the truck. Join us. Well, we got bottom end of the engine done. We're putting the flywheel and stuff on there. I mocked the starter up when I had it flipped upside down, put the new clutch on there, and I got a 10.4 inch clutch. And starters for the 14-inch stuff, which weirdly enough, from what my research says, 10.4 is what the small block Chevy uses, but the 14-inch is what is on the inline 6. Weird. So we're going to pull that off and put that on the motor. This is where she's at now. Got the 14-inch clutch set up off the other motor, the i6 motor, and bell housing on, throw-out bearing and all that junk. He's working on getting these motor mounts out. Probably could reuse them, but pretty crappy and cracked and all the things, and they're only like 20 bucks each. So we got some new ones. Gonna put those in the V8 position, and then I think we're ready to set this thing down on the mounts. I did have to do some clearancing here for the center dump little headers that I bought. Not 100% sold that I'm going to use those. I may use something else from my stash. We'll see how that everything fits together. I'm running the 3-speed with the Z-bar, so I kind of got to work around that. That occupies the space that the header would normally go down, so we're going to play some games here and figure out small block Chevy stuff. I'm learning. I haven't worked on this stuff in probably 20 years. I think the last time I worked on small block Chevy stuff was with a 1987 Corvette. That thing was phenomenal, but it's been a minute, so I'm learning what I forgot, all the clutch assemblies and all those types of things, and the boys learning with me. What did you do?
Put the motor in.
Come over here and tell me about it. Stop playing with that box.
Okay.
What'd you do today?
Put the oil pump in, oil pump shaft, pickup tube, froze that out overnight, put that in. Then you measured the oil pan clearance,
How'd you do that?
put some foil on the old one and put the cover on top and measured the clearance and
Squish the foil with
Yeah.
the pan?
see how much.
How much clearance did you have?
I think it was 3/8.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to have.
Okay.
How much did the old pickup tube have from the pan?
I don't know. It was like
You don't know because you didn't measure. I did.
5/8.
Yeah, good job. It was 5/8. Way too much. It's that Chinese clearance. Way too much.
So then we put the flywheel on. It's not the right flywheel.
Mmm.
Then we put the right flywheel on.
Did you know that there's multiple applications for small block Chevy stuff?
I know that.
Now we do. Now we know there's different crap that goes on other different crap. I was told by AI and some other things, which doing parts research, doing different things, it recommended the 10.5-inch clutch. That's what I need. This is the part number. Wrong. I had a perfectly good 14-inch clutch that's way more inches. It's like 8 more inches. Nope. It's a whole lot more. 14-inch clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel was already on the 6-cylinder. Just bolted it right up. So then what?
Then we put the right flywheel on, and then the clutch, and then
That's
pressure
clutch.
plate. Huh?
That's clutch. And then the pressure plate and all that. And what did we use for tighten the bolts down? It's for you, Bri. What was this tool I used?
The torque ratchet.
Torque wrench.
Torque ratchet.
Torque wrench.
Right, ratchet.
Torque wrench.
Torque wrench.
Bri, we're using the torque wrench, okay? We use torque wrench on like all of the bolts. There you go.
Put the bell housing on. Throw out bearing on, and we put the motor on.
And then which holes in the perches were the mounts in when we first put it in?
On the top ones.
Top holes. And then it wasn't lining up, huh?
Yes,
The bolts
we took it
didn't
out,
line up?
And then we put it back in.
What did we change?
We put the perches in a different hole.
We moved the motor mount bolts down. I don't know if you can see it. Probably can't now because my mount's in the way. There's a set of upper holes and a set of lower holes on these C10s. Supposedly the upper holes are for a V8 and the lower holes are for V6. And when we couldn't get this to line up in the V8 position, we took it back out, moved these down, impacted them, moved them down, tightened it back up, put the motor back in. Still didn't line up. So then what did we do?
We took the motor out again, and then put it the other way. Back to the original one.
Put the mounts back into the V8 spot.
Yeah. And
Yep.
then
And we tried it a third time. Did it line up then?
No.
It did not. So in talking with a couple different AIs and doing the Google searches and being just annoyed and fed up, we figured out, or at least I figured out, I think the solution. I haven't had enough time to really dig into it because we're in the shop doing stuff. But quick Googling on the phone tells me that the perches, the little thing that the motor mount bolts to, these jobs right here, I guess are different between V6 and V8. If you guys know something about that, write me down in the comments and let me know that I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't. But I think the perches are different. Number of different things. I was told that the older perches can work on these and the mounts will work and different thises and that's, but for what we're working at, what we're doing right now, that to get me where I needed to go, I needed to basically raise the motor mount up. But if you raise it on both sides, it like closes in the distance between the bolt holes, and then my bolt holes lined up. It was also recommended that I put the mounts in the clamshells, drop it down, mark it, and drill new holes. Probably a better way than what I did, but I didn't want to take this stupid thing out again 3 times. So I ended up just unbolting what I can get to, put my pry bar in there. I didn't make that noise, but then I put the pry bar in there, got in there, got some washers under there, spaced it out. So I made the holes work that were there. Not that it matters, but I use grade 8 washers, so you know it's going to be strong, right? Anyways, I'll probably go back and fix that one day or not, but it can be fixed if it needs to be. I had a whole part shipment that was supposed to get dropped off today. From when I order stuff, I don't get to pick who ships it, but Postal Service is supposed to drop it off, and I'm sorry for the old lady that has to drop off all my parts. There's a lot of stuff today, water pumps and alternators, and like half a truck was in their truck to be dropped off. Well, I guess they don't take heavy loads. It just said delivery attempted, and I got to go figure out the 3 hours per day they're open and go get it. Sorry about that, but I guess that'll be Monday, or I work Monday. That'll be like Tuesday before I can get those parts and start getting those on. That'll clean up the front end accessory drive, and I don't know, there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there that will be closer to firing this thing off. Still got to stick the transmission in there. It's over there. It's cleaned up. I just got to install it. And, oh yeah, you installed your first engine today. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Excited?
Yeah? How do you think you're going to feel when you hear it start up the first time?
Excited? Yeah?
We still got a whole lot of stuff to do. Got to verify all my parts and return some things and stuff, but did you have fun? Me too, besides all the frustration of parts crap. But that's it for this week's video. Let me know down there about them perches, or just say hi. Hey. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and there'll be more coming soon, so stay tuned, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.